I started streaming. I think. Let me give it a minute. I'm gonna go make some tea. I'm excited, Eric, because this time I'm streaming on the computer, and last time I've been using my phone the past couple times.
Yeah.
So now I can show them computer stuff if I want to. But it's working. Alright, sweet. I will be right back. Making some tea.
Smoke a goodbye blunt. That sheesh was good, dude.
Dude, you're not good at this, man.
No.
I'm giving them time to like load and stuff. Sweet. What's up, guys? Alright, so I'm watching the chat, and we will make a video based on what you guys say in the chat. So the advantage this time is I'm not on my phone right now, so I can do this nifty thing. Watch, you ready? You ready? Okay. Boom! Oh, look at that! Oh, I'm showing you my computer! So I could show you, like, you know, software stuff, or whatever you want. It's all right here. A convenient part of not using just a phone, right? Okay. Now we're gonna go back to this, though. I still gotta get used to streaming. I've been practicing more, though. What up? What's up, James? Yeah, we're in a house. Or, I'm in a house. This is the house in Reston, Virginia. Be right back. Eric's here, by the way. He's upside down on the couch. You tired? What's up, Anthony? Hello, Frastix. I can actually pronounce these names. Sometimes people have names like SDRTYOP. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not even sure how to go about pronouncing that, to be honest. at this tea. I'm so excited because I found out that I can buy 1,000 tea bags at once instead of 240, and it halves the price of the tea. I paid like 8 cents a tea bag. What's up, Ewini? Ewani? I'm not sure, but what's up? Alright guys, so until we build up some momentum here, I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing with AutoDS. Because I've actually been doing another kind of experimental thing. So, there's a lot of changes that I'm making to the bulk business, right? Yes, I am taking dropshipping questions, Fadzi. And I'm actually here, whereas last time I was in a car and I kept losing my internet connection. So that was kind of problematic, right? But this stream is all for you guys. I'll do whatever. But until we build some momentum, I'm going to show you some other stuff. Buenas noches, Carlos Taveras. I'm going to show you what I've been doing with AutoDS, okay? So one of the things that I've been working on is this concept of taking advantage of the size of the bulk account, because the account's really big, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm not doing that I should be doing, right? And one of these things is, right now, most of the items here are cheap. So most, like 90,000 of these listings, right, are cheap items from Walmart. That's just one of the possible things that I can sell. And considering I'm not limited, really, it makes sense that I should aim to just sell pretty much every viable item that Walmart sells, in addition to items from other places as well. So one of the things I'm trying to do now is, because I have established cash flow, especially with the YouTube income and the course income and all this other stuff, it's much more appealing to me to start messing with much more expensive items. So one of the things that I did was to start posting items that cost more than $1,000. And this wasn't really on purpose, because what was happening is I was on Card Bazaar and I purchased one of the Amazon accounts for $1,000, kind of by accident. I thought that there'd be like a confirmation, and then it just bought it. So I then had like $1,000 in an Amazon account, and I wanted to make sure that I got that $1,000 back into my PayPal. So I had to come up with a quick way to do that. And so the fastest way to do that, and from my perspective, was to just post a bunch of really expensive items and hope that 1 or 2 of them sell, right? And 2 of them did actually sell. So that kind of opened my mind a bit, because even if I can get like 10 of these $1,000 sales a month, and then say that there's problems and they end up being returned for like 20% of them, that's still an extra $1,000 in income. So it's really appealing, right? And especially now that there's so much other stuff going on, I don't think that it's as risky for me to attempt to do this now. And so this kind of transitions into one other thing that's going to go on with the eBay listings. And that's that, like, the current eBay store is comprised of items that are cheaper, right? And I also had to kind of take some time with the store because of the violations that I got with that GK hair company. I had to give the store time to kind of reset the timer, right? And now at this point, I'm confident that I can start posting more Walmart items that I haven't posted before, knowing that I'm going to learn what is problematic, right? But I'm now going to post all of the available Walmart items in a certain criteria, as opposed to specifically posting the ones that cost less than $35. And the thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep a hard increase per quantity, right? And so to better articulate what this means, right now most of the items in the store cost $6 in addition to their price because I have to pay for shipping, right? I price my items to include this. So there is no $12 item. It's a $18 item, right? It's an $18 cost because it's $12, but it costs $6 to ship it. So it's $18, right? All of my items include this plus 6. And the reason that I like doing this is specifically because it makes multiple quantity purchases of the item much more profitable, right? And this is something that I want to be a thing even if the item is eligible for free shipping. So I'm going to increase the maximum price range of items that I post to increase the size of the store, right? But also, we're going to keep that increase so that even though they're more expensive items, it's still much more profitable the second there's a multi-quantity sale. And we're running promotions in the store to really kind of push getting that second quantity. Because once you get somebody to purchase a second quantity of something, it's much easier to have higher margins on that sale. And personally, these are the sales that are more interesting to me because I love that there's a bunch of fluctuations in the profitability of sales. Like you have your average boring not fun sale that earns $1 or $2 or maybe even loses $1 depending on if there's like a pricing problem, right? And then you have your Amazon sourced sale, which is instantly like 3 or 4 times as profitable, right? So one Amazon sourced sale for the item is equal to 5 of that original base sale, right? And then you get into multi-quantity sales where you have like a 2 quantity or a 4 or a 5 or 10. I've had 3 10 quantity fulfilled, solid, no problem orders. And those are great because you just like, you earn like between 50 and $100 in one transaction. And it's like 2-day shipping, Prime, right? Great stuff. Okay, so now that I've babbled on about that, I never got to why. So I'm using AutoDS to post specifically the expensive items because it has a separate tracking, right? So it's very easy for me to just keep one quantity on all of these items and they're like separate from the rest of my bulk store, even though it's actually being posted on the same account. And now at this point, I understand much better how to work with big CSV files, and I'm not intimidated by having to like identify which ones need to be removed and which ones can be kept. I now understand how to do all of that, and it's easy for me to conceptualize. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than I expect it to, but it's like a muscle now at this point, right? So I'm really excited to see how things look for the rest of this year, right? That being said, I will now look at the chat again and see what you guys said. All right, Fadzi. Oh, actually, let me change this real quick. Okay. Yeah, I love being able to switch like that. It's so cool. All right. Hey, I'm glad I got your name right, Fadzi. That's cool. Anthony E says, my goal is to go from 1,200 listings to 5,000 in the next 30 days. What are your thoughts on my virtual assistant listing a few hundred items a day and me going in behind him to optimize? It depends what you're doing to list items. Like, it also depends on the quality of the list that you're starting with, Like, you could post 3,000 listings and not get a single sale. You could also post 3,000 listings that are more targeted and specific and get loads of sales, you know? So it's tricky to throw around numbers when it comes to amount of listings, because unless you know where you're getting the source list for those items, it's often not wise to be like, oh, 2,000 is a good number to go with, because the reality is 2,000 items can be exponentially different when different people make the list using different methods, right? So generally you want to be doing the more creative tasks. You want to be like creating the list, and then the virtual assistant goes in and posts all of the items. If you're using a virtual assistant to post items and you're not having the virtual assistant optimize them, then usually you would want the VA to optimize them. But either way, like you're working with virtual assistant, you understand that there's stuff you can mess with in a listing that makes it more likely to sell. You just get used to doing that more and more often. You have this relationship with VAs, you get a team of VAs, you become more capable, right? Over time, this all leads to really good stuff. So the fact that you have VAs in the first place sounds like you're gonna be fine, you know? Sounds solid. Maybe this specific thing won't work exactly how you expect, but it very much sounds like you're on the path to make that happen, right? Okay, so next is Fadzi says, how long does it take roughly for your account to reset when it comes to violations? I can't tell you with certainty. eBay's not allowed to share that information. So there is a period of time where it resets. I perceive it to be about 3 months. However, I think that it's also based on the size of your account, kind of like most of eBay's other metrics with your account. For example, like how they deal with out of stocks. Sometimes they'll only look at the past 3 months. Whereas when your account's smaller, they'll look at the past year, right? So it's way easier to correct a problem when it's only on your record for 3 months versus a year. Very different experience, right? And that also comes into play with violations, I believe. However, again, this is all just in my experience. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that I still have an eBay account in a lot of ways. Especially like now, it makes a bit of sense because I have a filtration process. I have a concept of what I've gotten in trouble for in the past and a process to stop that from happening again. That wasn't a thing for like a year. I used to just directly copy and paste items into the lister. Like there was no filtration process. And I posted hundreds of thousands of items that way over a period of a year and didn't get the account banned, which is honestly really lucky, I think. Definitely. There was one time where I got a 30-day suspension, but the person who placed the suspension messed up and failed to notify me of the suspension. And because they failed to notify me of the suspension, I was able to get the suspension revoked, right? But then the 30-day thing happened with the GK Hair Company. And that's the irony of that situation, is that it was all because of one specific company. Out of all of those products, 100,000 products, there was one specific company that led to 2 bans, right? And that was kind of frustrating. But moving on. All right. Gilbert, says, do you look for top selling items when bulk listing? I personally don't at the moment, but don't take that as don't look for top selling items. It is absolutely more efficient and more effective to bulk post items that you have put some amount of product research into. That absolutely is worth doing, right? From my perspective, what I really like is this concept of having this, we're referring to it, and when I say we, I'm saying Eric because he's like in the background, you can't see him at the moment, but we're referring to this thing called a ghost list, where you have like every URL that you've ever looked at before, and then the ghost list just contains all of that, and then it can export everything that's currently in stock, right? And then it can subtract all of the items that you've ended, because you can have a database of everything that you've ended, right? So it enables you to just kind of keep refreshing listings over and over again. Like imagine having 200, 300,000 items, and you just have this big database of items, and you keep reiterating it, except for the items that sell. Anything that produces traction, you separate from that reiteration process, right? So you have this big bulk store, but you're also building this kind of optimized store within the bulk store, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now is like, I know that you can do product research, and it's absolutely you get a much better sell-through rate. Absolutely. If you do any form of product research and use that to make a list that you then bulk post, it performs better than just posting everything. Absolutely true. Okay. But what I'm interested in is not having to do any of that product research, just having a huge database of items that just continuously can be refreshed by software, right? Because ideally, in the future, every part of this bulk drop shipping business model that at least me and Eric use is kind of known with the thought that we can fully automate everything using software. At least that's been kind of something that's been in my heart, is knowing that, okay, if I can figure out how to make bulk work, it's way more feasible to maintain a profitable bulk dropshipping business that's automated with software and like AI than it is to try and get an optimization style business to be managed with AI and software and that kind of thing. I just feel like a computer thinks in a more bulk way. It just is more relevant, in my opinion, and also much more interesting and thrilling, right? Especially like you can also view having a bulk account alone as product research. And that's something that I do a lot. Like my bulk account is very much a utility that I use to test and experiment, and honestly, like that's what I got a name on YouTube from, is just from doing ridiculous bulk stuff with dropshipping, right? It's very useful in that sense, but it's useful in kind of more abstract ways, which is why it's not necessarily good for everybody, or it's not good for everybody, right? So, but yeah, Fuzzy, to your question earlier, I don't know if I answered it properly, but I believe it takes 3 months for the cycle to reset, but I don't know. It could be a year, it could be longer. It makes sense that it's 3 months, because I've had times where an eBay rep tells me, oh, this is the first time you've had this problem, when it's not, right? And so that means that the counter has reset, and they don't see the time when I had the problem, but I remember when I had that problem, right? Okay. So then Fudzy says, do you care about the amount of competitors for an item at all in regards to bulk listing? Me personally, not in the slightest in any way whatsoever. I pay absolutely zero attention to competition. That being said, if like sales result from items that have less competition. So if you have a way to automate the process that identifies if there is competition, then that will increase your profitability a lot. So it's very relevant. But in my case, for me, it's more about like I establish the workflow, and there's a thing I got to do every day, and then that's been a consistent thing in my life, and I just keep having to improve it and keep sticking with it and keep going, right? So next, Mohammed says, man, I got account shut down. I'm so fucked up, wondering what to do. You just gotta not get too emotional, man. Like, you can get another eBay account, you can get another PayPal account. It's not the end of the world. Like, most of the stuff online gives you the impression that there's like a way to fail and it's over, it's all done, it didn't work. The reality is, like, if you lose an account, you can just get a new one. Maybe you don't think that's true, or you think that it's more complicated than that, but that's the reality. You have to identify the information that allows you to just get a new account, but understand that there's plenty of people out there who've gone through like 10, 20, 30 accounts. I've seen people who are consistently managing like 30 or 40 accounts at the same time. Like, just talk to people, like reach out to people. You'll find out that it's fine, you know? You can always keep going if you really want to. Next is Anthony. Oh, you use Zik Analytics. That's awesome. I'm doing a video soon with the guy who did Zik. That's going to be awesome because he's going to be like showing me how to use the software. And this is really great, honestly, like being able to, like, because the YouTube channel is big enough now where people are kind of interested. So even though I'm like really casual and not formal at all, people still want to work with me. So I really like that. It's pretty cool. Especially because when I want to get to know software, like, it's actually feasible for the creator of the software to show me how to use the software. Like, who else would know better, you know? It's cool. I'm really lucky, honestly. And then being able to make videos about it, and then you guys get to get all of that too. It's fun, definitely. Ideal X says, what is the best software you recommend? I'm currently using Hustle.Real, experiencing some issues, and the pricing seems pricey compared to others I've seen. Okay, so I have 3 softwares in my head right now that I consider good for people kind of new into dropshipping or that kind of thing. And that's AutoDS, DSM Tool, and Hustle.Real. Understand that this is because these are the most 3 relevant softwares to me because I've been working with them recently. I don't know anything about Hustle.Real, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, right? That being said, I need to update my understanding of what is currently available on the market because I did a lot of research about it a while ago and came to the conclusion that you should always assume that the software that you want exists because there's so much available. A lot of it just isn't commercialized, but even that being said, a lot of it is commercialized, right? Viking is coming out soon, which is Hydra Lister's new all-in-one suite, which is the same kind of model as most of the others, where it's like, okay, you have one thing that you do that has the lister, the repricer, some kind of sniper, some kind of way to do product research and give you items to post. That's kind of the business model that a lot of these companies are going towards, right? And personally, I really like George, who's the guy who's behind Hydra Lister and Viking. He has integrity, and that's something that's rare, if that makes sense. And he's been in the industry for a long time. I've had some conversations with him, and if they're making a tool from the ground up, an all-in-one suite that's new, made recently, like, there's no way that that's not going to be good. It's not being rushed. It's made by people with experience who, like, I respect. So I'm definitely excited about that. I don't know when that's coming out. I don't know anything about the pricing, that kind of thing. But I am going to do a video. So, okay, I will be right back, but I'm going to get a piece of paper, and I'm going to make another video list. I haven't done one of these in a while, because honestly, I haven't been focusing a whole lot on making video. It's just something that, you know, I do once a day now. So I'm going to get that list, and I'm going to write some video ideas down while I'm doing this, but I'll be right back, okay? I have my tea. All right, we're back. I have my list, so I'm going to write this down real quick. Okay, so I need to do list of current de-essing software. De-essing software. Okay. Okay. Next, we have Anthony says he had his account suspended for 6 months because he had bad shipping time. Restricted for 24 hours. Well, at least you have it back. That's good. IdealX says he uses his friend's account overseas since he's permabanned for PayPal for selling risky items in the past. Yeah, you can just get through. Like, it's not the end of the world. There's always another way to keep going, usually. It's just a matter of if you want to or not, right? Carlos says, can you touch base on eBay's algorithm? Okay. eBay cares about certain variables. There's a whole bunch of different variables. Things like photos, title, description, promotions, promoted listings, all sorts of different things. That's only 5 of them, but there's like 40 or 50, right? So what you should focus on if you want to learn more about eBay's algorithm is learning about the things that it does care about. So you should be able to make a list of everything that affects the algorithm, right? Which really just means, like, algorithm's just a fancy way to say, like, sales. Sorry, something confused me. It's just a fancy way to say search results. You just need to understand what pushes you up in search results, right? So what little benefits can you put in your favor, right? Can you offer free shipping? Can you offer cheaper prices? If you can't, then you have to learn about other ways to get sales anyway, to work around it. It's never not possible because you can't, like, have lower prices than everybody else. Like, it's not that simple. There's more to it than that, okay? So Johnny Green says, how does federal and state income tax work with eBay and dropshipping? So when you earn money online, you have to pay income tax on it, if that makes sense. It's just like you should assume that if you earn money, you have to pay taxes on it. So the way that I deal with this, personally, is, look, we can do the switchy thing. You ready? Boom, switchy thing. All right. The way that I deal with this is with Intuit Self-Employed. Yeah. So this, you log in and it syncs up with your PayPal account, right? And all that other stuff. And it's going to have a big negative number because I haven't actually done it. Because I need to, like, sync everything when I do my taxes. So I don't stay on top of this. But I'm going to show you how this works, okay? So what you would do is you would go to Transactions. And it has an exported database of everything that's gone into and out of your account. So you can set up rules to try and categorize stuff because you need to know if it's business or personal. You can see right now it looks like I've lost $110,000. That's obviously not possible. The reason that it thinks that is because most of the rules for the transactions apply to expenses and don't cover the income, right? So in order to catch everything up, what I would need to do is stay on this screen and then just mark everything that is a business expense, right? Like this, actually, this here is a personal expense, whereas these are all businesses. I withdrew $400 to, like, pay rent and do all that stuff, so that's personal. And marking it as personal means that I have to pay taxes on that as if it were income. That's the simplest way to think about it, right? Whereas whenever I mark an expense as business, it reduces my tax liability, right? So why are these not automated? See, I can automate these, right? We're going to add a rule for this. So this is a debit card purchase online from walmart.com, which means I was sourcing an item, right? So what I'm going to do is say that whenever we see this, we're going to match it exactly, and we're going to categorize it as a business expense and apply it to all of our past transactions as well. And now this, if we refresh, it should have gotten rid of all of these as well. That's kind of weird. Why did it not do that? Okay, what if we could do this? Ah, there we go. Now it worked. It was just a little bit delayed. See, it did 30 of them. But yeah, it's pretty cool because it just automates a lot of stuff, right? So all that we have to do is just go down and click on things like this, right? And then it's great because it makes it in a database, and you look at the amount of money that went into, and then you look at the amount of money that went out, and then you have the difference, and that's basically what you pay taxes on. And then there's, you know, there's more to it than that, because there's deductions and other stuff that you can use to lower your taxable income, right? But ultimately, you have to pay income tax on money that you earn. So that's just how it is. If you don't, you can get away with that for a bit and think that it's fine, and then it will crash and haunt you. I personally know 2 individuals in their 50s that spent like 20 years in jail for money laundering. And it's a very real thing. And you can think that, oh, I'm not a launderer, I don't do that. But like, most people don't start out that way. They don't just jump into the deep end, right? They start dabbling and just not reporting things, and then misreporting stuff. And slowly, over time, 10, 20 years, that builds into something that becomes jail-worthy, right? So, like, make sure that you learn the rules and that you abide by them, because they may seem silly, but they're what allow you to exist in the first place, right? So if you're watching this and you want to check out QuickBooks, there's stuff in the video if you want links to it. I like it a lot, especially because it's like $10 a month. It's pretty cheap. It's usually like between $5 and $10. You can get promotions for it, but we're going to go back to the chat now. Okay, so what's next? Elmosa says, my eBay account is limited to 60 items. If I open a store, will my limit increase? No. Stores do not affect your eBay account limits. It's a common misconception that getting a store will allow you to post more items. That being said, you can use having a store as kind of as the basis of an argument to get a limit increase. You can be like, well, I have this premium store and it allows me to post 1,000 items, but I can only post 600, and I really want to be able to use the whole store that I'm paying for. From eBay's perspective, that's a completely logical argument, and that can get you a limit increase as long as you don't have any like problem, glaring issue with your account, right? So just focus on getting those limits maxed so you have all of them used up. And then every 2 weeks, just call, try and get a limit increase. If they reject you, just call next 2 weeks. Just do that over and over and over again. Eventually you get used to it, you get the hang of it. Really, it's all about just sounding like you have a plan. Understand that you can get a limit increase on an account that's never even had a single sale. That's something that happens, okay? It's doable. You just gotta keep trying, right? Don't get lost in your head. That's so easy to get lost in your head. Just call every 2 weeks and try. Okay? Next we have Muhammad's asking, how many accounts do I have, or am I maintaining at the moment? So I have the bulk account, and that's the only eBay account that I'm currently posting to. There is another account on the side, but I gave that account to my friend who's now it's his account now. It started out as a stealth account, but now it's been like translated to his identity and everything. So it's no longer a stealth account. But yeah, I only have the one bulk account, and I post to the bulk account using different softwares, right? I've used Pricematik, I've used Infinii, I've used DS Genie. I haven't used DS Genie myself. Other people have posted to my account using DS Genie. Used Hydra Lister. At the moment, I mostly use Hydra Lister, but Eric's developing a lister, so we're probably actually going to start using proprietary listing and repricing, which is kind of weird, but cool, right? That'll save us like $1,000 a month. Okay. Anthony says, we use DSM tool to list and monitor. Our criteria is sellers with 500 to 10,000 eBay feedback and products that sold at least five times in the last 30 days. I had my first sale last month and did 6,500 the past 45 days. Cool. That's awesome. Haji says, my friend's supplier is on AliExpress, not answer me. I'm not really sure exactly what that means. AliExpress means long delays and problems, so it probably has something to do with that. You can use AliExpress, definitely. I'm not saying it's not profitable. I'm just saying that there are a lot of problems and stresses associated with the use of AliExpress. Yeah. Hazim says, how is the sales today? My sales have been, so today I felt like they were bad because there weren't that many of them, but then almost every single one of them was sourced on Amazon. So instead of having like a couple dollars of profit on each sale, it was like $5 to $15 of profit on each sale. So that was really nice. And then in the past 10 days, there have been 2 over $1,000 purchases and 2 10 quantity purchases. So there were a lot of these like one specific occurrences that represent like 40 other sales or 30 shitty sales, right? Next is Klang says, how can you work all night? I personally don't work all night. I believe...
Question.
Yeah, Eric works all night.
All the time.
Eric has an insane schedule, an insane energy. For me, the only way I can work for long periods of time is if I'm able to block my awareness of time and enjoy the task that I'm doing. So it's all about like enjoying it and not trying to do things for long periods of time unless I enjoy them. But that's definitely a luxury. That's not something that most people have, you know? So you shouldn't focus on working hard and being able to tell people like, oh, I worked all night, I was up till 6. That means that you should feel like I'm doing well, that I'm progressing, that everything's groovy. You should focus on identifying one thing that you can do every day that changes your future somehow. So this isn't like a basic maintenance. Like, this isn't like cleaning. This is like something that you do, whether it's a conversation with somebody, or actually cleaning in some cases can be good, but every single day you got to do something different that helps your future, so that you get to a point where you've been doing that for so long that at this current moment you're so grateful that your past self has been looking out for you so much that you just feel this weight just gone because you have faith in yourself and your ability to, you know, do things. But you have to look out for your future self and then get to the point where your past self has been looking out for you now in order to reap those benefits. So the beginning part is the hardest because you're doing something for your future self, but you haven't gotten to the point where your past self is helping you, because most people, their past self is hurting them in some way, right? So you got to kind of switch that. It's really important. And that's based on how you live and the decisions that you make and all that kind of stuff. But that's really abstract, and that's not what this is about. Anthony says, right after they lifted his 6-month suspension, they raised his accounts to 500,000. That's awesome. So they lifted the suspension and raised his account limits to 500K. That's $500,000. Wow. Muhammad says, while registering for a business account, it asks users to give an estimated inventory amount. What do you recommend about this? So, I honestly can't tell you. I would just be making a number up. Personally, it's much more common for eBay to ask for invoices and that kind of thing from a seller who's overseas. One of the advantages you have in the US is that the second that you have some physical items that you're actually selling, then you become much more legit in eBay's eyes. And if you've ever established yourself as a physical seller in eBay's eyes, you can basically just dropship willy-nilly and they don't care because they trust you. The reason that they don't trust a lot of dropshippers is because you can use dropshipping and anonymous accounts to launder money and commit fraud. So that's something that people are scared about, right? That doesn't mean all dropshippers do that, obviously, but understand that if you can get a US account or what looks like a US account that has a history with physically selling stuff, then it's highly unlikely that you're going to be asked to ever provide invoices and that kind of thing. It's possible, but in general, you want to prevent that stuff from even happening in the first place. And there's always a way. You just got to talk to enough people who know what that way is, right? And then he says, even if you put some inventory, eBay later on might ask you for the invoices and how. Okay, so yeah, same answer pretty much. All right, guys. I'm probably going to head out. There's no more questions in the chat, so I'll give you guys like 3 more minutes. Any questions that get asked in the next 3 minutes, I'll answer. But after that, I'm going to head out. I'm trying to do more of these live streams just to get more experience with it. And also when I'm in this house, the internet's way faster, so. James Cypher says, what is your % goal per item? Should I try for 10 or 15? I personally use 1.35. So I use like between 15 and 20 depending on what the costs are. It's like you should just figure out a price point, stick with it, and then use it for a while and don't think too much about changing it until you've used it for a while, and then try something more expensive, see what happens, and then try something cheaper. You got to get different experiences, right? And one of the things that I really like about the way that I focus on my pricing is I try and get a dynamic pricing to happen where we have very different profitability in sales, right? Earlier I talked in this stream about how like a base sale in my store is only like $1, $2, maybe $3 profit. But then you have these other tiers of much more profitable sales where one particular sale is $10 a profit and one particular sale is like 60 or 80 bucks a profit, right? So you suddenly find that just getting 1 or 2 of these items to sell is the same as getting like 20 or 30 of the less profitable sales to happen, right? And so, like, I personally really value anything that allows for that to happen. And in order for multi-quantity sales to become a higher markup, you need to have some kind of hard increase per quantity of your items, and also the ability to post multiple quantities in the first place, right? So you need a bigger eBay account to do that. So really it doesn't matter a whole lot because it's all about you growing your account, okay? Nizzy Rogers asks if I do anything else other than dropshipping. And I do. Dropshipping honestly isn't the main thing for me. It's like dropshipping education is a big thing for me. I'm really fascinated by the industry that dropshipping is a part of and the individuals that create software and teach courses and like influence other people within this industry. I really like learning about how all these different individuals play into it. That's something that I really enjoy. So I make more money off of my course than anything else. I make between $1,000 and $1,500 on the course. And then I get about $400 or $500 from YouTube, and then another like $400 to $800 from affiliate stuff, which is just like the various. I'm affiliated with a lot of different software like Hydra Lister, Infinii, SKUgrid, even Pricematik, AutoDS, lots of things, right? So all of it adds up, and that's kind of, I just try and live my life in a way where I'm producing content and then I'm doing things in a way that it's easy for me to monetize, because there's still a lot that I need to improve in my life. Like absolutely, there's a lot that I need to work on about like my regularity in life and having more structure and routine and waking up earlier. That's something like, I want to wake up and have an hour of stuff that I do every day, no matter what, no matter where I am. And that's genuinely hard. Like, I'm having a hard time with that. But it's something I need to do. Anyway, Praising My Way Through says, hello, is DS Genie worth the investment for brand new dropshippers? What lister or competitor tool would you recommend for newbies? So it depends on what mentality you have, honestly. DS Genie is very specific software for a kind of specific mentality. If you want to really work your ass off, have a lot of sales, but also a lot of problems that you have to deal with, but at the end of the day, you earn good money, but you're working all the time, you know, that's something that a lot of people want. They just want income, regardless. They don't care if they have to work 10 hours a day, that kind of thing, right? If you're looking for more of that kind of grindy, more certain experience, DS Genie could definitely play a role there. I personally don't know much about DS Genie, and I have history with the creators, so like I know of the circumstances behind DS Genie, but I don't know too much about the realities of using DS Genie. And I'm also in a position where I don't want to talk about that a whole lot, just because, like, on one hand, I don't respect Mark Augustine like I used to, but on the other hand, I really respect him and admire him in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of stuff that I'd just rather keep my mouth shut about, if that makes sense. You know, it's complicated, but there's a lot of tools you could try out. If you're looking for something that's low commitment without much money, you should use DSM Tool. As far as I understand, that's the only completely free option. You have free repricing and listing for 50 items or less, I believe. I think AutoDS just changed their pricing. I don't remember exactly how the pricing works. I need to look more into that, and I also need to look at more other options as well. Then Nizzy Rogers says, which do you recommend for someone just starting out, Pricematik or DSM Tool? It depends what you're doing. So there's a way to use Pricematik and SKUgrid for free, basically. You can use the Pricematik free lister and post Amazon items. So you can make a store using Pricematik for free, but then you have to reprice it. You have to manage the stock. So this is where you could then use SKUgrid. So I have a video about doing that. It's a little bit tedious to export a database out of like your current eBay listings and then add them to Pricematik. But as long as you have the list of URLs you used to originally post them, it works pretty well. Okay, next we have Carlos says, what time do you get up? So I get up like 20 minutes before the first thing I need to do for that day, if we're being realistic. However, I try to get up at 8, and then ideally I want to get up at 8, do my hour of stuff, and then do whatever I'm going to do for the day, do whatever calls, whatever that kind of thing.
Tell him I go to bed at 2 a.m. and I wake up at 8 a.m.
Eric goes to bed at 2 and wakes up at 8.
Every day.
That gives you some insight into how little sleep he gets. I get way more sleep. I get tons of sleep. My life's pretty dope. I'm excited. Nas says, I don't create eBay store, but currently selling on eBay. What should I have to do to create a store? So Nas, you can go here. Let's show you. We're going to go to Google. And we're going to go eBay store subscription. Okay? So you can go to Google and just search for a store subscription. And then don't worry about this stuff. Just go here. Okay, and so this is where you can learn about it, and then click on this subscribe now button, and then that's when you can change it. So there's a specific point where it becomes worth having each store. I need to do a new breakdown video of that point, because back when I did it, there were only basic, premium, and anchor stores. Now there's starter, basic, premium, anchor, and enterprise. So that's something we'll do in the future. Okay, cool. So I think that's pretty much everything. I'm going to go back to this screen here. Rich Geek said something, but I can't see what he said. Nizzy says, how many listings do you think I would need to be making $100 to $150 a day? That is my goal with this whole dropshipping thing. Thanks as well. I love all of your videos, and you've been a huge help. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that you appreciate the videos. If you want to make $100 a day, that's $3 grand a month. That's definitely doable. You don't have to be like a hugely next level dropshipper to earn $3,000 a month. That being said, you will need virtual assistants. So that's going to be your biggest block, is training a team of virtual assistants to post and run your store. If you don't have virtual assistants, you're going to have a much, much harder time getting to that point. With virtual assistants, you could do that in a year if you didn't work your ass off. You could do it sooner if you really know what you were doing. But if you just kind of work at a casual pace and you train people, you could be at that point in 1 or 2 years, definitely. Depends how seriously you take it. Also depends on how efficiently you work, because there's a lot of people who will work like 8 or 10 hours, but the reality is that only maybe like an hour or 2 of that was actually like future changing quality of work. So understand that a person who works 8 hours isn't necessarily progressing in the long run faster than somebody who works 3 hours. It really depends on what exactly they're doing. Okay? And with that, there's no more questions. So I'm going to end the video. Have a great day, guys. Ciao.